And so the infusion of energy that he was talking about was scientifically based, and the infusion of energy I talk about is spiritually based, but also energetically based. There's also a scientific basis for what's happening right now. And so what I'm going to do today is take you through a little bit of history, a little bit of science, and then we're going to talk about what the mission is, and why we're here, and what we can do about it. So the first thing I want to do is talk about that infusion of energy from just a broader, grander view. That infusion of energy is what I refer to as the divine feminine, meaning that there is a resurgence, an emergence, if you will, a phoenix rising from the ashes of female divine energy that historically has been suppressed, has been unwritten out of our story, has been kept at a minimum for a very particular reason. And while it's a nice thing to say this, or it's a fun thing to say this, or it's an easy thing to say this because I am female, it has not so much to do with gender as it has to do with balance in the universe, balance in the cosmos. There are women in history who have done amazing things about whom we know very little, sadly. But more. We will know more and more as we go on, because one of the things I say about the process we're going through globally is that I say there are no more secrets, meaning that you'll notice in the news, you'll notice it everywhere. Things that used to be kept quietly hidden. I mean, how many scandals have you heard about lately? Or how many times on the nightly news are you hearing that what happened today in Congress in the hall was shameful, and this senator said that? You're hearing it because we're living through an era when there's an infusion of light onto the planet. That infusion of light is, in fact, divine feminine energy. And what happens when you put the light on? The darkness is revealed or disappeared, okay? The darkness disappears. You turn the light on, the darkness isn't there anymore. What happens when you have an infusion of spiritual light into a darkened environment? We are in a darkened environment. We are in a very dense field. We're in matter. Matter is dense, matter is dark. We just don't remember how dark it is because we woke up in it. But it's no accident that babies come out screaming and crying for the most part, because it's kind of frightening to have just been someplace so bright and light at the source, and then suddenly for that soul to incarnate in that body and wake up in such a dark place. Because if you're not directly connected to the light anymore, it must be less bright now where you are. So actually this world is quite dark visually, but we're used to it because we're born into it and we adjust. Just like you walk into a room and you have to adjust your eyes, you walk into this world and you adjust your eyes literally as well as figuratively. We're in a dark place. And so now we have an infusion of light onto the planet. You can believe me, you can believe Bill Nye the Science Guy. I don't care who you believe, I don't care what you think the basis of it is. There's a lot of light on the planet. No more secrets. No more women who made contributions who aren't recognized. No more women who exist today who do not get the due they deserve. And Cleopatra, she's my favorite because, of course, we know all that she's ever done is take Richard Burton away from his wife. But in the real world, and wear too much eye makeup, but in the real world, Cleopatra inherited a bankrupt country. She inherited a small empire that was bankrupt, had been bankrupted by all the pharaohs who preceded her. She learned 9 languages. She was fluent in 9 languages. She was the first pharaoh to ever speak the language of the lay people that she ruled. She learned the language of her subjects, which was different than the aristocracy spoke, and so that she could converse with her people. She built a system of aqueducts that allowed Egypt to become a trading center, and that allowed sanitation to flourish at a time when it was rare in that part of the world. In addition, women's rights during her reign elevated tremendously. Women became able to own property, which was unheard of. Their dowries were returned if the marriage broke down. Divorce lawyers wake up. I mean, it was just a matter of right that the dowry was returned. And for the first time, women were awarded citizenship for meritorious service to the country. So we don't, I mean, we don't learn these things. We learn that she was a seductress, more of that adulterous, negative woman stereotype who seduced through physical allure and who ultimately brought down perhaps one country and perhaps an empire ultimately.